remembering the Red Sea while standing at the Jordan. God keeps his promises. Sometimes the hardest moments in life are not when God first brings us out of something. Sometimes the hardest moments come right before we step into what God promised us. Because you can see where you came from, but you can't see where you're going. That's where the children of Israel found themselves in the book of Joshua, chapter 3, Tuesday night Bible study. God had already done something miraculous for them. At the Red Sea, he parted the waters and brought them through out of Egypt. The sea opened before them and they walked through on dry ground, scripture says. That miracle proves something important. God keeps his promises. But here's the truth about human nature. Even after witnessing a miracle, it's easy to forget what God has already done when fear and uncertainty show up again. See, years later, the children of Israel stood in front of another body of water, the Jordan River. And once again, the water stood between them and the promise of God. The river was at flood stage. The situation looked impossible. And yes, they panicked. Why? Because they were so focused on the water in front of them, they forgot about the water behind them. They forgot about the miracle at the Red Sea. But even in their fear, God remained faithful. When the priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant stepped into the Jordan, God stopped the flow of the water. The waters pushed back. And once again, the people crossed over on dry ground. God brought them through. But something happened next that many people rushed past when reading the scripture. After they crossed the Jordan, God gave Joshua a very specific set of instructions. In Joshua chapter 4, the Lord told Joshua to choose 12 men, one from each tribe, and have them take 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan River where the priest had been standing. They were to carry those stones to the place where they camped and build a memorial to God. See, these stones were meant to be a reminder of what God had already done, a reminder that God brought them through the waters, and it was the same God that was leading them to the promised land. God knew something about human nature, though. He knew that if they rushed past the miracle, they might forget the one who performed it. And when we forget what God has done, it becomes easier to doubt what he's able to do. That happens all too often. Sometimes we move so quickly from one season to the next that we forget to pause and remember what God has already done for us. We receive the blessing, we cross the river, and then we rush forward without building the memorial. But following God is more than just being physically in position. It requires a posture of faith. And faith grows when we slow down long enough to remember. Slow down. Be still. Focus on the one who brought you through. Because remembering what God has already done prepares your heart for what he's about to do next. When the next challenge comes, when you find yourself standing at the edge of another Jordan, you can look back at your memorial and say, God brought me through before, and if he did it before, he will do it again. That's why one of the ways we train our faith is by intentionally remembering the victories God has already given us. When we face uncertainty, our natural instinct is to focus on the obstacle before us. The river looks too big, the situation looks too impossible, the future looks too uncertain. But faith grows when we shift our focus. Instead of staring at the river in front of us, we remember the Red Sea behind us. We remember the times God already made a way. And that's exactly what the psalmist was doing in Psalm 42 when he said, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Hope in God." The psalmist was speaking to his own soul, reminding him where his hope belongs. Sometimes faith means reminding yourself, God has brought me through before, and he'll bring me through again. So tonight, Don't rush past your moments where God has shown himself faithful. Build your memorial. Remember your victories, because the God who parted your Red Sea and the God who stopped the Jordan for you is the same God walking with you today. And the river in front of us does not cancel the promise ahead of us.